we're going to learn linear equation word problems today, and these are worth 47 points on the SAT math section, so make sure you know these. So our approach to these questions is going to be to identify linear equation word problems. We're going to break them down, we're going to build a formula to solve them, and lastly, we're going to go through a practice problem together. So how do you identify these problems? Well, they're going to show up as a brick of text. They're almost going to look like a misplaced reading question in the math section because they're going to have so many words. They'll also give you pieces of this formula, y equals mx plus b. So we're basically using the text to fill in our formula, y equals mx plus b. So here's the formula that I've created for these problems. Step number 1, we're going to write down the information we're given and looking for. Step number 2, we're going to create our equation. This is the y equals mx plus b equation. And then we're going to use our info and our equation to find the answer. So here's an example question. You see it's a brick of words, so we're thinking it's linear equation word problems. And as we read through, we'll see that it's asking us about an equation, so that will solidify it as this concept. So it asks us that a baking instructor is setting up 6 stations in a kitchen. Each station will have ingredients for dish A or ingredients for dish B, but not both. Dish A requires 8 cups of sugar, and dish B requires 3 cups of sugar. If X is the number of stations that will be set up for dish A, and the remaining will be set up for dish B, which of the following expressions represents the total number of cups of sugar needed? Okay, so lots of words there, but let's look at step number 1. We're going to write down our info. So first, I see that there's 6 stations total. So total equals 6 stations. Okay, perfect. Let's keep reading. 2 dishes, dish A and dish B, with dish A requiring 8 cups of sugar. So A, 8 cups, and dish B requires 3 cups. And X is the number of workstations that will be set up for dish A. Number of A stations. And the remaining are set up for B. Okay, so now we have a lot clearer information here. We know what we're looking for. And so let's move on to step number 2. Okay, so now let's create our equation. So I'm going to start with this piece of information telling us there's 6 stations total. We also know that this X represents the number of stations that are set up for dish A. So X, which is the number of stations for A, plus B, the number of stations for B, equals this 6 total. Okay, so this is a good start, but now let's move on to this next piece of information, that dish A requires 8 cups of sugar and dish B requires 3 cups of sugar, because we're actually looking for the total number of cups of sugar needed. So 8 times the number of stations for A, which is X for us, plus 3 times the number of stations for B equals our total T amount of sugar needed. Okay, so now we're looking like we're getting a little closer to what our questions are asking, but none of these answer choices have any B's in there, and so I'm going to try to isolate it and only make X's. And I'm going to do this by rewriting our first equation as B equals 6 minus X. Okay, and then once we have this B isolated, we can plug it into our second equation. And this is going to equal our total still. So let's simplify a little bit. equals t. And lastly, we do one cleanup step to get 5x plus 18 is going to equal our total number of cups of sugar. And that's what we're looking for. So this tells me choice number C is our answer. And there it is. Okay, so a lot of work of these questions comes from actually looking at the brick of text and extracting your equation. And so in that respect, Desmos is not going to help there much. But if you already read the text and you found your equation is like y equals 4x plus 10, and then you're trying to analyze this, you can definitely plug this equation into Desmos and see if that can help you at all. So definitely keep an eye out for Desmos if you get stuck after you have your equation, but a lot of the difficulty of these questions is actually just finding your equation. So good luck.